refusing to honor the pagan gods, refusing to honor the Jewish gods, they were calling themselves Christians. So he started the first Christian persecution. So first wrong idea that we have to erase from what we learned at school. The Christians were not murdered inside the Colosseum, because the Colosseum was not here when Nero started the first persecution. What was here? Imagine the three hills and Nero, which started to build his palace above the three hills. So from Palatine, occupied Esquiline and the Stadian Hill, and then he arrived again at Palatine. So this building was at the center, a perfect place for a beautiful artificial lake. I want to show you a picture. Can you see the lake? It's here. Here today, there is the Colosseum. When we talk about archaeology, we have to keep in mind some very important rules. How we can understand that here there was the villa of Nero. We have three different sources. Mythology, what the people at the time used to believe about themselves and about their history. Literary sources, what the writer of the time wrote and described, keeping in mind that sometimes it was propaganda. Not exactly the truth what is written. And the third thing is archaeological evidence, what we have today. And we have to mix all the three of them to have an idea about how the people used this place 2,000 years ago. Another very important thing to keep in mind is that technology change, fashion change, and humans don't change. So we have the same needs of the people 2,000 years ago. So with this we can manage to understand what was in this place 2,000 years ago, the life of the ancient Rome. So here there was the lake, and here, that I marked in red, there was a huge statue of the Emperor Nero, done by a Greek artist. Remember, the Romans were great engineers. The Greeks were artists. So Zenodorus, a Greek artist, had done this statue 35-meter high, a little bit less than 100 feet. It was a giant, and was on the top of that platform where now you can see a niche for a temple. And there was the entrance in the Nero's villa, in the palace, and there was this huge statue. We don't have the statues anymore from the ancient times. So,
it was melted down during Renaissance.
The Domus Aurea, golden house. Beautiful, richly decorated. The most famous artists, painters had to decorate this house. It was really the biggest. Nothing can be compared with this house. And after he finished this house, Nero was forced to commit suicide. The Praetorians, his personal guard, told him, "You're very sorry, we cannot protect you anymore. Why don't you suicide yourself? If you are not brave enough, don't worry, we can do it for you." But at least, according to the literary sources, Nero was brave enough. He suicided himself, and in 69 AD, and in 1 year, there were 4 emperors. It was a civil war in Rome. You can imagine that no one of these 4 emperors died in his bed out of age. All of them murdered. Until Vespasian, a very popular general, rich, because he was the one which conquered Jerusalem, so he had a huge booty of war. So rich and popular and trusted by the army, he became emperor. In this Flavian dynasty, 3 emperors, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. They built the Colosseum. So the first thing Vespasian did was destroy the Nero's villa, keeping only the part that was on Palatine, the original one. The other part were destroyed, and he didn't give the ground back to the Romans to rebuild their houses. But he built something that each Roman could use. Public baths. You know that the baths were very important in the Roman daily routine on Esquiline. Colosseum is a nickname. The real name of this sport stadium is Flavian Amphitheater. Flavian from the dynasty. Amphitheater, it's a Greek word. Theater, to see. Amphi, from all sides. Telling us the shape, an elliptical shape, not a rectangular, not a square shape, for a very practical reason. Rectangles and squares have corners. A gladiator at a corner is a dead gladiator. By with the elliptical shape, there's always space to keep running, keep the show going on. So, Colosseum is just a nickname that the people see. Three different styles for the columns. When we visit the Roman Forum, when we visit the Pantheon, we can really see the development of the ancient Rome. We can see the ruins from the monarchy period. You know, a little.
This is Palatine, where Romulus lived, and all the kings of Rome subsequent to him. The first column represents the monarchy. The second column, Ionic, represents the Republic, and the third column represents the top represents the Empire. Nero ruled before the Colosseum was built. He was 17 years old, and he killed himself when he was 30 years old by the suggestion of his guards, who said he couldn't protect him anymore. He was so hated that they built this Colosseum over his public bath. And they tore down, in the Renaissance period, they tore down his statue and melted it down.
Let me take a photo.
Because everybody could exit so quickly, they call it the Vomitorium. The Vomitorium is because it looked like the Colosseum is throwing up. That's how we got the name. Built in 70 AD. Completed in 9 years. It takes longer than 9 years today to clean it.
Theater. Colosseum, it's a nickname. Why the people started to call this place Colosseum? You remember the statue of Nero, a giant, I told you in English, but in Latin, the Colosseum is, the giant is a Colossus. And the Colossus was just in front of us, on that platform, and imagine that it was possible to see the head of the statue projecting out from the Colosseum. So he was looking inside the Colosseum. Of course, at first, the statue represented Nerone, as Apollo, god of sun. Can you see the crown making the rays of light? After Nero's death, the statue had a facelift. It was changed. It became Apollo. And then Adrian, the emperor in 2nd century AD, 120 more or less, 1,900 years ago, moved the Colossus from the platform to the valley. And then after other 2 centuries, the people started to call the Flavian Amphitheater Colosseum. Because it was close to the Colossus. It was normal talking with the people, where are you going? Not to the Flavian Amphitheater, to the Colosseum, meaning not the statue, but of course, theater. The Roman concrete, the strongest building material before reinforced concrete, before we started to add iron. And the other one is the arch. Of course, the Romans were not the one which invented the arch. Other ancient population, 1,000 tons of travertine and 100 tons of iron. Iron to stack the block of travertine together. Can you see the many holes on the surface of the Colosseum. Look there, many holes between the block of travertine. The Colosseum was the first semi-earthquake-proof building because there were iron inside the block of travertine. They knew that the Colosseum was built on a marshy ground. Half is built on a hard ground, but the other half is built on an underground river. So they had to make the structure stronger. So they had iron. In Middle Age, in Renaissance, to collect the iron that was inside the Colosseum, they made the holes to melt the iron and collect all the iron that was inside of the Colosseum. That's why, because of an earthquake in 1345, half of the Colosseum fell down. Of course, the one that was built on the underground river. So can you see that this part of the Colosseum is well preserved, while the other side we are missing 2 rings. So we just have the internal one. But you can see that the external one is missing. I want to show to you some pictures that Eros studies about athletes, gladiators, gods of music, art. This was a building for spectacles, not only very violent, but most of them very violent spectacles. And the Colosseum, another very important rule to keep in mind when we study archaeology is that the less we see today, the more important the place was in the past. Because that means that we used very rich materials that were pillaged. When the Colosseum was abandoned, and I will explain the history of the Colosseum, this became an open quarry. An open quarry. Why spend money in bringing other marble from Egypt, where there was so much marble here, so much travertine, so many different kind of marble. So today, we see that the Colosseum is like this. It's not easy to understand how 70 or 80, in case of the top-notch gladiators show, how so many people could sit here, because we cannot see anymore the sitting place. But the Colosseum was, like this. A small portion of the sitting place was rebuilt, and I want to show to you, so we can do the past and copy. You see a small portion, and you have to imagine what was all around you. Now, let's find another place, so we can observe all the way distributed on the piers. So those are just blind arches. We're not closing windows. They're built like this.
Blind arches for structure. This rock is travertine.
Why not?
Can't really see here.
Oh, sorry. She said the bricks would never be showing. They would either put fresco over it to make it look like marble, but never just leave the bricks unless it was a peasant. They do it was considered worse than mud.
Women and slaves.
We're standing on the 3rd level. The 4th level was for women and slaves, and these were the stairs that went up to the 4th level, which would be way up there.
It was decided before the building of the Colosseum. It's happening in all the respectable building for the Roman. Teacher, follow me.
Well, I just think it's the 7th of February, that'd be fine.
about 400 people used to work below the Colosseum floor in the almost the complete dark because they weren't allowed to have torches. The floor was wood and there was not a lot of oxygen, and the torches would eat the oxygen. She also said something about an underground river that probably used to feed the pool. They would flood this, and then I think she said have a mock sea battle in here. They would bring animals from Africa, lions, tigers, giraffes, put them down inside the hole, don't feed them for 3 days, and then bring them up. And this whole scene was free to the public because they wanted to show the power of the empire. The marble from all over covering the brick shows how big the empire was. The ruling over the natural elements of the animals, again showing how powerful the empire was, and then they would conquer people and bring them here and kill them, you know, with a lion, or again to show how the empire could destroy other countries, and they get you know, essentially the amusement of the emperor, and to show all the people how powerful he was.
It was an extra because they couldn't use slaves to stretch this velarium. So imagine above you 240 wooden poles projecting above the Colosseum to cover all the seating place. They couldn't use normal slaves to stretch the 240 pieces of fabric, linen on the Colosseum. They had to use professionals. So 100 sailors from the imperial fleet had to arrive in Rome from Miseno, close to Naples, to maneuver with pulleys and ropes this huge baby. So imagine that the days before the show in Rome, there were posters advertising for the show, telling to the people which gladiator was going to fight, maybe famous one, which kind of animals. You will see tomorrow, if you come to the Colosseum, you will see 2 lions, an ostrich, giraffe, crocodile, and also if shade was provided. Shade provided, another extra. So in summer it was perfectly nice to stay at the Colosseum. Now, a very for the emperor, where the emperor will sit. Imagine that the Colosseum is for the emperor, where the emperor will sit. Imagine that the Colosseum is...
She thinks the emperor would sit here because it was closer to the Palatine Hill where he lived, and it would be in the shade during the show. And I think she called them the vigils, which are also important, would sit where the cross is, right here.
Gladiators wet and gladiators long.
This is a souvenir.
They have to put on their body to attract more women. And it's really strange that it didn't work. Really cannot understand this Roman way.
They also had souvenir chalices. When you bought 1 glass of wine, you got to, it had a gladiator's name on it, and that was your souvenir for the day.
Here we are looking at Venus, the international goddess, that is looking at the Colosseum, the symbol of the Roman Empire, protecting the Colosseum. While Roma, that for the Romans was a goddess, Roma Roma Eterna, Eternal Rome, was looking at the Roman Forum. So mirror temple, 2 niches, 2 entrances. Today we see just the niche, but this was one of the biggest temple with 10 pillars on the front. Deca stilo. Deca means 10, stilos, pillars. Where are those pillars now? Many churches. Churches, palaces. Rome wasn't built in a day, but was built and rebuilt with the same materials many times. So I told you that this is the temple of Venus and Rome. Venus in English. But for the Romans, Venus was the goddess of love. Again in English. In Latin, love is amor. So this is the temple of Roma et Amor. Can you try to read Amor? The quote? Roma.
Backwards, Roma.
This is the temple of Amor et Roma. Roma et Amor. Eternal city, eternal love. So don't say that Paris is the most romantic city in the world. You are right now in the most romantic. Roma means love. Means amor. To buy their freedom. But most of them prefer to buy tomb.
What?
A tomb.
To have a tomb after death.
Wow.
Gladiator which became free because he could buy the freedom, or because he entertained the emperor so well that the emperor decided to will give you your freedom. He obtained the rules. The rules was the wooden swords which the gladiator had to train before to become gladiators. A gladiator, lions, tigers.
The gladiators were slaves
This is the podium,
who trained, ate cereal to make them fat so they wouldn't bleed out.
Ivory rollers, so if the
And they got paid.
try to jump above the podium,
And if they
fall. And in case of
They were allowed to buy their freedom,
it was possible to
but many did
close
not.
an iron net
Instead, they opted to
around.
get a tomb.
So someone with I want to give you
Archers sat inside the square area
minutes of free time.
in order to shoot the animal if it got out of control.
Need restroom.
You could see the floor was marble, and then you had the travertine, which was beautiful back then. Everything was covered in marble. That's why the bricks are here. The bricks were just a flat face to hang the marble from with steel pins or iron pins. Everything was covered in marble that you see in brick. The Roman Empire started falling in the early 300s and completed around 400 AD. And the Emperor Constantine moved to Constantinople, the center of the empire, and he left. He gave up Rome to essentially the Christians, and the Christians took all the marble and built beautiful churches like the Vatican. So they undid all the marble all around the Colosseum and created the church. And so when we go to the church, we'll see a lot of the marble that was once here. Now you see they have 4 floors here, but only 3 here, and that's because the outer ring collapsed. And the outer ring collapsed because if you look at this travertine here, you see those holes. What the Romans did when they built this was they put steel inside the travertine because they knew there was an ancient waterbed that went right under this wall. And so they put steel inside the travertine to give it reinforcement. However, in the Renaissance time, they really wanted metal, and so they somehow superheated it and through those holes and got the metal out of the Colosseum, which is why this side collapsed, because of the underground waterbed, and without the support inside the arches and the travertine, they were it lost all its support, and so the outer ring collapsed, and that's why it looks like there's only 3 levels here and 4 levels here, because there was no water, ancient water bed underneath this. This is where they were running water. It was like a bath, and they used one sponge to wipe their butt. Here you can see this was all destroyed, this outer ring. All been rebuilt. The Arch of Constantine. It's the last arch in the built in the Roman Empire in Rome. She's telling us this road was put in by Benito Mussolini directly between the palace and the Colosseum, and destroyed a lot of archaeological artifacts in the putting of the road. Now she said they tried to put subways in, but the subway, they thought 19 meters would be far enough, which is about 100 feet down, but what they found was they had to be deeper than that, because the Roman Empire, they found it about 12 meters down. The Republic of Rome, they found it about, I believe it was about 14 meters down, 15 meters down. And then the ancient Rome, they found as low as like 17 meters below ground. So they must go deeper. This is the palace that Benito Mussolini made his office.
Let's stop here for a moment before to reach the center where it's very sunny, but there's a little bit.
That level is Augusta,
You're looking at the foundation.
1st century AD.
You're not supposed to look at the foundation, but
That's
this
the foundation.
temple was built later, almost 200 years later of Augustus. So the level of the city had rised up. So knowing this, you know that when you see the foundation was built later, when you see that the building is a little bit deeper in the ground, was built before. So you are looking at the Republican building or a monarchy building. I told you that the top of the columns, Ionic, the one with the stroll, the capital Ionic capital, it's from Republican period. So if you look at that temple down there, with 6 pillars, Ionic, you know that that's a Republican. And Corinthian with groups, pillar, is imperial period. So just knowing this helps us at least to place in one of the 3 sections of the Roman history, and also before or after Augustus. And here now, let's look at this building. Our time was really the center of the world. They decided to use the shape of the basilica. Basilica for the Romans, the ancient Romans, was a civil building. It was a covered square, mainly used for administrating justice. It was the Roman court. When the emperor was here, for a very important judgment, they could use the entire building. If less important court were happening, they could just put curtains between the pillars and divide the basilica in different rooms. So the basilica is really like a church. The architecture is the same. A rectangular building divided in a central nave and in 2 narrower aisles with pillars. Look at this one and try to have the pillars, the walls. Of course, the central nave was higher to have windows to let the light enter. So the basilica was a Roman cult. The main difference between the Roman basilica and the Christian basilica was the entrance. In the Christian basilica we enter from the short side, and in front of us we have the apse, and we have a path in front of us. We have to reach the altar. In the Roman one, the main entrance was from the square, of course, from here. But so was from the long side. And knowing that this is the most, very most important building for politicians,
each of these little rooms were shops and banks, and right off the basilica. Then over here, the empire, when they built the empire, this is a single piece of rock. So they had a lot of money, and they were able to make this single piece of rock versus the older pillars, which were sections. You can see the sections. The Roman Forum. Here's the shops, and then this would be the entrance to the basilica. This basilica was built by Julius Caesar. This was a senator's house. Julius Caesar built it, and he built Caesar Square with a Caesar statue for the senators to know he was watching them, because the senators had all the power. Julius Caesar was a dictator for a time of crisis, but he's supposed to return power to the senators. Now Augusta, his son, declared Julius Caesar a god and built him a temple on top of these stones. And that temple made Julius Caesar a god, which made Augustus an important person. So he kind of did himself a favor. And then Augustus was not so good. He was weak. Mark Antony was here, and he thought he would get the inheritance, but Augusta did. And Julius Caesar left a lot of money to the senators. Excuse me. He left a lot of money to the people of Rome. And given that the senators murdered Caesar, the people of Rome exiled the senators for murdering this great man. Emperor Devo.
this temple was transformed in a church. Look at the green door. Yeah, that was the level of the entrance. Until under the green door, it was completely covered in They were making excavations to Vatican.
These people? Red marble.
Was called at that time Campo Vaccino, field of cow. Shepherds were here. The city center was yes, sorry. A guidebook from 1700, the Wolfman, gave a special hint to don't go to the Colosseum after the sunset because there were wolves.
The center of the city was the Vatican at this time. So that's why there were cows here.
The picture I want to show to you, before to move from these noisy people. That's the head and the hand of the statue of Constantine that was inside and that's the door. Look at this.
Jeez.
This is a very high door from an ancient palace. Putting a laurel crown on the head of the emperor. On the other side, you can see the other part of the parade. The slaves, the beauty of war. And since Titus was so... You need to go?
This would be the village, 8th century BC, which is the time of the myth of Romulus and Remus. And Romulus killed Remus and built the city of what became Rome. So this palace was too small for Nero, which kind of pissed off the Italians. That is the Dome of St. Peter.
Use it to hold together to hold the decorations. In this case, decoration high relief in marble. Of course, this is a copy. The original one is inside the museum. But imagine that all around this world was covered with this kind of decoration. So these small holes that you can see here were shown for the high reliefs. Those holes are kind of right.
Yes.
Scaffoldings. How the rubber could build so high? Well, they use a scaffolding, but not exactly like the highway. Imagine wooden poles here, projecting on the sides, and they could pull these poles from the floor. And they could pull up, and then up. So they could build very high. When the work was done, they could just cut the external part of the pole. The one was built on the bricks, so it was better if there were wooden patches. Covered with marble. Now we are also, because of course after 2,000 years, with dust survives technology, so we adjust the holes, but the rubber structure is so strong, it's not a problem. From here, you can see that the part of the Italian palace was really baroque. The official part was more severe. It was just square or rectangular. Here, the part is really
Circus Maximus.
marble, precious, ancient.
Roman garden.
The dining room was mosaics, paintings, statues. With your tour. When they conquered new cities, they also take away the
Ah, so this is a so people were in here.
capstan, yes.
And they drive that.
Yes, too.
That's pretty impressive. Wow. It's a full, yes. You got a picture of that, Liz? I'm just about to.
They still make watches like that.
Yes.
Here you can see the outer rings that collapsed. Look good, Giorgio? Look good.
Quando parla loro fanno la lista. Cioè dillo comunque non manca niente, solo c'ho la dietro.
I don't know if you can tell how big these things are. I mean, these are like, I'd say about 8 feet tall, that coping.
Have you guys heard it say the dome is not that impressive, but wait till you get inside? Okay, tell us when you get there.
Have you talked about Victor Emmanuel yet?
The Pantheon. What number are you on? What?
I think we're probably
239.
A little bit here because nobody can see them.
Oh, we're blocking.
Oh, here. Ciao. Ciao.
what?
Signora, buongiorno.
The ceiling was once covered with bronze. The red granite. All these pillars are Fabian time frame. They're all, it looks like solid stone, not made up from multiple pieces of stone. And they have the emperor period caps. This is one of the most well-preserved monuments in Rome because thanks to the Catholic Church who came in and converted it into this church cathedral versus a imperial building, and so therefore preserving it. And the dome once had bronze on it. It was probably taken away again in the Renaissance or Byzantine area when they really wanted the metals. Who was Raphael?
Great artist.
The great artist Raphael was buried here. Film him from here so he doesn't want money. you have to go to the bathroom. Throw a coin! Throw a coin! Again!
I got it.
We're gonna throw... No! Make a wish! You're gonna come back to Rome! Yeah, Roma! Woo! The city of love!
Hold on, hold on.
Throw!
My last point.
Make a wish! Make a wish!
Wait. Try get it in.
She's gonna miss. She's been dropping things all week, and now she's gonna miss the coin in the fountain.
Are you taping?
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, not nice!
Okay, one more with me. We're right in front of that.
Just kidding. I don't know how they got all that stuff up there. Solid piece of marble. The Spanish Steps, here for the King of Spain. The Spanish boat at the foot of the Spanish Steps.
Stop, we have to get up.
Oh my goodness, I don't see people out.
Nice. Vomit out. Oh. Well done. Welcome to Manzell.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was quite entertaining.
We gotta find the right exit.
Oh, no. Did you get that picture?
Perugio was given credit for all the wall murals. On the left side is Moses, on the right side is Jesus Christ, and these show each of those panes. There were 12 panes, 12 artists. Perugio is given credit. And then the ceiling, Michelangelo. The ceiling is the book of the center corridor of the ceiling is the book of Genesis. It starts with the creation of light and the creation of man and the original sin, and then Noah. And St. Peter's was made in the 16th century. This is not the same that was made by Constantine. This was replaced in the 16th century. Michelangelo would paint sinners as old and holy people as young. So Mary was always young, and people infected by sin were shown as old because God never grows old. This is the mural behind the altar, which shows turmoil and Jesus in the middle, and people circling around being judged. They think this might be because of the Protestant church starting up, and Charles V, I think he said attacking Italy or the Vatican. "27 years after the sealing. This man is going to hell, holding 2 keys in gold." Has to do with Luther. You can't pay for salvation. Michelangelo was about 60 when he did this. This particular saint was skinned, and that's his skin. But the face on the skin is Michelangelo's because he felt like St. Peter's was a tomb for him at this point. He was going to die there. This pine cone is 2nd century BC in the original Constantine St. Peter Cathedral. And this tower was put by Pope Gregoria, who created the Gregorian calendar by studying the stars. He found that there was 2 days missing in the calendar. That's a dragon, which is the crest of the Pope's family. Augustus. So Rome was, after Romulus, there were 7 kings. The 7 kings ruled until the Republic. And the Republic put in a Senate. And it wasn't until Octavian that the empire became a reality, because Octavian got the people to force the Senate to give him ultimate rule. Hercules, you can recognize by the skin of the lion. He was a god. Augustus. This is the castle, and the Pope would retreat to there if the Muslims were attacking the Vatican. There's a bridge where we are, the Vatican, for the escape of the Pope. Apollo, son of god of the sun and healing. 1st century. See how they use the cloak and the tree to support the arms. This face inspired Michelangelo to make Christ's face unshaven. Michelangelo is Renaissance, which is essentially being inspired by ancient works. That's the re-instantiation of ancient works. It's a Renaissance piece of work, but they use ancient pieces. That's a sarcophagus, casket. Is the pool. See the head of a lion. This is Mesopotamia. The head was off the part, so they replaced it in the Renaissance with one of Michelangelo's students. Michelangelo's face. The right arm was broken off. And they thought it was going straight up, so the copy shows it straight up. But a few years later, they found this tag sale. They found the original arm, and it was bent. Work of the 1st century, it was in the house of Titus, and maybe the house of Nero. Hall of the Animals. They find fragments and they try to restore them. I believe this is Jupiter, but what's cool is that the eagle is a symbol. Jupiter is the god of all gods, and also the eagle is the symbol of Italy. It's Hercules lines. This bath is one art, one rock, and the mosaic is original on the floor. This esophagus is the daughter of Constantine, and this one is the mother of Constantine. This chariot was pieced together. One horse is original, one horse was added. And the chariot used to be a chair in the church. Use of glass eyes. This is the Chamber of Constantine, who took over Christianity. You can see the fallen idol in the shadow of the cross. And you can see the battle, Maximus. Constantine is on the horse and stepping on Maximus. This might be the door where they burn the white and black smoke. We were just in the Sistine Chapel where they selected the Pope, and Michelangelo painted the roof. And I believe those doors is where they, once they select the Pope, they burn white smoke. If they don't select Pope, they burn black smoke. It takes a 2/3 vote to select the Pope. It's a conclave where they burn it. We're just finished the tour of the museum, and now we are headed to St. Peter's, but you can see the Great Wall all around the Vatican to protect the Pope. And they fended off several attacks. The first level is where St. Peter is. Second level is the crypts, Constantine popes. And then this is the third level, which is the 16th century. The building took 200 years. Michelangelo was involved. It was originally a Greek cross. And that's the Greek cross. In the 17th century, they extended it. There's the old cross. Michelangelo would not have extended the church because he didn't want this length hide the dome. They wanted the dome to show. This circle is where they would crown the emperors in back before this church was built. Michelangelo made this at the age of 24 in Tuscany, where the marble was found. His door is closed for the Jubilee. St. Peter, 2 keys to the kingdom. The gold key is spiritual power. The iron key is secular power. Pope Paul II was made a saint. So this would be the... You can see this is kind of the new part of the church.
So this side is the same. It's just one arm, one arm transfer. Yeah. Okay, so you can take another bit. This is the roof at the level. Well, that's in a way, but
Michelangelo's dome, just above the windows, was about when he died, and other people finished it. But the same design as Michelangelo. There's a dome inside the dome. There's also a railing that you can see.
And the scripture.
You might see somebody. There, you can see a person there. And then on the outside, you could go to the top. It's like a room with windows facing out. And you can go into that second dome. That would be the floor of the second dome. You can see there's another area, walk area. And then there's this walk area. See this walk area, a second level walk area, and then the dome inside. There's windows you can look out. So you climb up from the outside on this skull. Only the Pope can say Mass at that altar. It's a papal altar. And the tomb of St. Peter is 3 floors down. This is a Baroque piece, but these columns came from the original St. Peter's Cathedral, 4th century.
Ora während der Messe, da muss ich
And the dome, can you see the window? It's not glass, it's alabaster.
Alabaster window with a dove in the middle. It's a marble, or light can pass through it. The chair was made in the 8th century. Somebody stole the original chair, which was sat in by St. Peter. Mummified Pope Pius X. Fountain of Baptism. Colosseum floor.
The central balcony is the one used by the Pope to appear to when he's elected. So on the side, from the square, you can see the Sistine Chapel. The chimney is arranged on the side of the chapel, so people can see the wine smoke, and they wait for the Pope.
I know.
This is the extension to the original design by Michelangelo, which was the Greek cross. Here's the courtyard. So these doors came from the Colosseum, and much of the marble and travertine came from the Colosseum. I don't think you're supposed to photograph this door. This is the holy door, only open during the Jubilee. But this Pope made this door open up for an interim Jubilee. Usually only every 25 years. 2025 would be the next Jubilee. There you see the first balcony. Here is the second balcony. And here's the second balcony. as we go up the dome. There's a roof of the dome, but there's a third balcony up there where you can look out all the windows across all of the dome. This is the highest point in Rome. You can look out all the windows all across Rome. The highest point of the dome is the highest point of Rome. This is St. Peter. And get a good shot of him. St. Peter. I think he said it was 4th century. Tomb of the Popes. We're at the first balcony. There's the altar. The apostles are between each arch.
Pomyślałam sobie, wiesz, barwą tych wszystkich złotów dekoracyjnych, które tutaj jest, dużo winie. Już nie wspomniałam, wiesz, to malowali, żeby to do takiego, wiesz, to wszystko po to, że nasza wiara chce być Bogiem.
Znaczy ja to inaczej odbieram, no ja
nie wiem.
We are climbing the side of the dome of St. Peter's. It's a long way up. And you can see the shape. See, the floor is flat. You can see outside Rome. What the heck? Oh my goodness. Okay. Teddy. How you doing?
No wonder there's a rope. Holy crap. Oh dear. Where'd I have to put my camera away?
I think we're there.
We're close.
Let's go back down. Top of the dome.
Auf der Innenhof da wohnt bestimmt auch einer. Ist ein Schutz davor. Oder der keine Ahnung.
That must be the castle, and maybe that's that wall there is the bridge for the Pope to get over there. Smile, honey.
That's it.
This is where we entered the Vatican this morning. And then we came down here and we were looking at the pictures of the Sistine Chapel. And then we walked through these museums, these big long hallways. And then one of the stories was about when the Vatican was established, the Pope insisted that he have this pathway to the castle. And so you can see, here is the castle. This is for protection. And there's the path. It's essentially a wall, or a bridge they called it. You can kind of see pieces of it. Right there. And how it connects into the Vatican complex, essentially for him to escape.
여기 한번 찍어야지. 오케이. Any? Here. 로마가 더 봐봐. 하나, 둘, 셋. John.
내가 왔지. 내가 첫째입니다.
Here's kind of a grotto fountain on the grounds, and it's right next to the Vatican Radio. The Vatican Radio, this was discovered by Macaroni, who discovered the microwave. No, the Vatican Radio was discovered by Marcioni, and he essentially figured out radio waves. And so this is the original radio station, essentially, and it happened to be the Vatican. And today it puts out so much power that a lot of people complain that it interferes with other stuff. Go!
Going down.
Go! The side of the dome. Praying to St. Peter the whole way. Now we go to the long stairs. But these stairs wrap around the dome. Then we get an incline, which takes us down to the elevator. What'd you think?
It was worth it.
Worth it?
Yeah.
Good. We're on the roof. Somewhere on the roof.
After Dave's death, we had to celebrate our life. I made it to the top.
Well done. He'd be proud of you.
You again?
Here we are kind of on the roof. And one thing you can see is all the reinforcing of the keys and the, look at all the steel that they've put around this. The wing of the eagle. The other thing you can see is they've put little wires, electrified wires, next to each of the staff shows it. And then I didn't see any of you guys, and so I came back down. See the wires? Those wires are electrified to keep the pigeons off the statues. You kind of see them up on the head. We're now in the middle of St. Peter's Square. And you can see all the people trying to get back in. We have now left out the front door. And you can see St. Peter's. And I believe this is the balcony where the Pope would speak on Wednesday. Inside the cupola. We were right up there. About 10 minutes ago. Right behind all those guys. There you can see quite the enormity of this square. Unbelievable. This river runs right through Rome. Beautiful. And here you can see is right on the bank is this castle, D'Angelo. And this is the castle where if the Vatican was under attack, the Pope would run over to this Vatican through this bridge. It's really kind of a wall. Let's see if we can see it right here. If you look right below the trees, you kind of see, there it is. And it goes all the way to the Vatican, which, let's see if we can get you a shot. There's St. Peter's. It basically runs up St. Peter's. To be safe, and that was part of the deal when the Vatican State became just the Vatican. Here's the castle, and here's the Pope Bridge. You can see there's like an abutment, like maybe there was water in here at one time. And you can see here Now this thing goes all the way to the Vatican. Enjoy the sights and sounds of Roma. Salute!
Mi imparato così e basta. Vai, vai.
What is it?
Oh, it's pretty, it's pretty pretty rapke.
What is it?
Rapke.
You like it?
It's rapke.
But there's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it.
Oh, you get a shopping box. See that? You get a shopping cart.
You want a magnet? I mean, most of the magnets are $3, so.
How much is that? $1?
¿Por qué?
Too much.
10. 12 por 10.
Celeste.
Tell them €3 for all of it.
Bracelet. For me.
Hay otros y mejores.
How can we get one that's like dog?
What happened? Looking good. This is the last stop before the main stop. This is barbarism at its best. Watch everybody try to push in. Push. Push. This is crazy. This is the main stop. You have everybody trying to get up and everybody trying to get on. Crazy. The subway is vomiting. This is just a block from our house. It looks like an ancient Roman aqueduct. And right next to that is the Cristo Salvatore church we're going to go into. The number of human statues really surprises me. I wasn't really expecting all that. And then that's Phil and Christy. And then, I'm not sure what this is, but it's kind of cool. It says Benedict the 14th. It's a video. It's a video. This is one big door to a cathedral.
Shoot, I didn't get the top.
And then it's all gold ceilings.
Smile again.
This is the main altar. Probably down here is a crypt. There's the altar. Oh, it's unbelievable. And we're kind of on the left side. A lot of gold stars on blue skies. You see that in a number. The Sistine Chapel was originally that. A number of the old churches have it. Look at the fresco. The fresco is like little pieces of tile, different colors put together to make a picture. And then these paintings, if they're like the Sistine Chapel, they wait for the plaster to be wet. And within a day of it being laid, you have to paint, and then that plaster absorbs the color. You can see a couple different seating arrangements. This is a pretty extensive kneeler with a kind of a piano stool. And then over here you see ones like we saw in Rodazzo, where the chair and the kneeler are attached, and then you butt them up end to end. This chapel is just a little chapel off to the side of the altar, which is more magnificent than most of the things we would see in the United States. It almost has a Greek Ionic style columns. It's very Pantheon looking. This is the very top of the church behind the altar. More frescoes. And then if you like music, lots of organ pipes. And the organ pipes kind of keep going on both sides of the altar. And then over here as well. It's like I can't even imagine hearing this. Here's a view from the altar. Look at the magnificence. Yeah. We told her we were ready to go. And she went one more time around the church. Oh dear.
She's distracted.
Here she comes. Toristo Fablamiso. Toristo Persistenzo.
I asked if there was a statue of St. Mark, and they said, no, St. Marco. I was like, was he bad? And they said, only the apostles, no evangelists. Just wanted to see.
I don't know how you tell, but this is dedicated to St. John's or Giovanni. Dedicated to St. John or Giovanni. This is one of the public baths of Roma. Caracalla. We've been following this wall and most of the openings have been closed. So we thought they were just blind arches, but as you come down here, there's like actual chambers. Maybe they're residents. Maybe second floor residents. This wide open space was the gymnasium. This is what the gymnasium floor might, I assume, looked like. They've reconstructed some of it.
This is not the granddaddy of them all.
Nah. And here was the dressing room. And then this is the entrance to the bath.
Where are you getting this from?
The map on the front. It's amazing. This was in the 300th century.
Lit up at night, it looks like probably pretty cool.
This is the public bath here. And you can see some of the remnants of the columns that were here. It would go all the way to that cove. And all the way back into that cove. And then it would stop at that hump right there. That would be the end. This is where the water came in.
Take a picture of this wall and then take a picture of this. Keep this steady with your hands in there.
もちろん一般市民から。
見下してんだよね。そう、それでもね、イタリア人はリスペクトしてる。そうじゃない。
There's the bath. Back beyond Terry.
Guys, you gotta see some of this stuff.
This is the Palestria. You can see some of the remains of the marble coping.
This must have been so.
This wall is new. It's just been set there to reinforce it. And they've got some of the frescoes here. The palace.
The palace here?
So is this like where the kings or whatever bathe?
Where they bathe?
They're their own private place or something?
This circular piece, they say, was a fountain. And here's kind of the artist rendering. And they believe this base was actually one of in the fountain. We're in the gymnasium. You can kind of see some marble coping tiles there. And then it looks like there was a second floor. You see how dark those bricks are? And then there's some tunnels, if you will. But you can see how all those arches, there must have been a second floor. There you can kind of see the contrast between how thick the floor looks like it was 12 foot thick. It's amazing. And those holes are probably wood timbers that went across, maybe to support it while they were pouring the, laying the brick and cement. They were playing Pink Floyd earlier, preparing for a concert. This is the bathhouse here. And then this is the garden. And then you can see the garden walls. And now it's raining. This is Circus Maximus. Most famous for its chariot races, like we would have seen in Ben-Hur. If you can imagine, it's 1.2 miles wide by 3.5 miles long, and it held about 400,000 people. The other thing that I found interesting about this site is many Christians were fed to the lions here. When we went to the Colosseum, everyone at the Colosseum said it was a myth that the Christians were fed to the lions in the Colosseum. There's no documented evidence of it. However, there's plenty of literary sources which show the plight of the Christians here at Circus Maximus. They would put the Christians out in the middle, let loose the lions, and the lions would rip them apart. And so from a Christian church perspective, martyrdom really started here for the Christians. That's kind of cool. They rebuilt some of the steps, and they've created the original walkway, or replaced the original walkway. You can imagine what was going on here. I'm not sure about the tower in the middle. That's kind of cool too. Here's another view. If you look between the railings, you can see the top of arches. So you can see this, the level is the ground level is pretty far down from where we are. But you also get a good look at this. The other thing to look at is the seating was probably along these banks. But you see these arches back here and then this big building. We're wondering if maybe the seating went all the way up to that big building and that these were internal tunnels, if you will, below the seating. We'll find out. There's one of our modern chariot racers. He's got some kind of three-wheel contraption down there.
Bring it on, see what he's doing. Is he selling ice cream?
Yeah, it could be.